why should people follow you, and where can they follow you?
You should freaking follow me because I
We are going to be interviewing Coolman Coffeedan, Danny Cassell. How do you pronounce it?
it's Casal, but you know, kids in elementary school would call me Casalid. They would call me Castle, like a princess castle. They would call me casserole. So
Wow.
at this point, I don't even know who I am. It's all good.
I mean, how do you feel? Like, first question, how do you feel about that when you're called Danny
As far
Castle?
as, you know, 9-year-old bullying could go, they could do better. They could have called me anything else to actually hurt me. Casserole is not one of those things that could hurt me. If anything, it made me a little hungry.
There you go.
You know, they could have called me Danny Kanish, but I'm not Jewish.
Right.
We got to a weird spot here already.
I honestly just I feel like we got enough. I think
But yes, Casal is the pronunciation, and but you know, I'm also known as Coolman Coffeedan.
what are your responsibilities as this person? What do you have to do in order to stay relevant with your fans and to also keep the income flowing?
I only recently, 3 short years ago, started doing this. So every day I'm kind of figuring out like what exactly my responsibilities are to keep this whole ship flowing. Really what it is, what my whole lifestyle has become is, you know, making these cute, simple animations meant to, you know, bring like a strong dose of wholesome vibes on your timeline, you know, kind of just act as that little bright light on your timeline, which is I just assume everybody's timeline is just absolute horrible shit at this point in time. Give you a little laugh or give you a little comfort, you know, a little tear streaming down your cheek, or just like a smile, or that nice little exhale through the nostrils when you see something a little funny, or and it's not really that funny, but it's a little funny. So you go, and that's all I could really ask for. So
Yeah, with your content, there's been times where I've been like touched, and then there's been times where I've just laughed my ass off. People know you; they've got to know this one, the one where you're talking about how the world is messed up, but we're all kind of just
yeah, yeah, that was my first Blue Dude video. That was like my first accidental wholesome vibes video that took, you know, I made after the Las Vegas shooting, and I was just so like in a bad spot mentally, and you know, everybody was at least in the States, and I was like, I got to make something here. So I made like a blue character that I named Blue Dude, telling you that although bad stuff happens in the world is mostly good. And then he kind of lists all the good things that we kind of take for granted that happen, like the smell of bakeries and smiling babies and that feeling that you get when your crush says your name. And then, you know, I posted that like the day after, like I said, and it just like exploded to not only the United States, but worldwide, universally. So many people applied what that character was saying to their own situation and what was going on in their heads. And it started this kind of chain reaction of like, oh, I see there's like a greater purpose here with my stuff.
yeah, there's literal meaning to it. And I didn't know that was the first Blue Dude one you did. Actually, that was
Yeah.
the first one. Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that was like that was 2017, and I believe, was it 2017? I mean, damn man, time flies. Dude, I was on YouTube going through my old videos. I'm talking videos that I posted in 2010 before animation, and I'm like, who's still commenting on this right now? And I saw a comment that said, wow, 2010. I was only a few months old when this came out.
Oh
And I
God.
was like, "Excuse me? I was 14. I was a fully functioning human being hustling to try to get views out here and like editing and shit and like scheduling when I'm going to shoot this, and you were a literal drooling ass infant." That it made me feel so old, dude.
Those are the worst comments because I have like a draw my life, and like the second I put the year I was born on there, like I wasn't even alive yet, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Oh, like you're 30, like you're like a grandma. And I'm like, shit, my
Yeah, no, I saw
young right now.
Gen Z is out here, man. I saw somebody call a 25-year-old prehistoric on like a Twitter fight, and I was just like, yikes. I don't know how I feel about that one.
It's funny because like when I was little, like when I was a kid like them, I used to think 30 was old too. I don't know how old are you?
25,
I'm 25
25.
now. I'm really fucking grandma over here.
It's just flying. It's all flying.
Yeah, it is. It flies. But now that makes me even more excited to interview you because you're, I mean, 25, it's awesome the success you've had. And
Thank you.
you're not even 30. Like, I think that's awesome. I'm curious to know, did this whole thing happen kind of like by accident, or did you have like a strategic kind of goal plan to become Coolman Coffeedan? Like, what kind of started it?
So, I mean, the goal was to always make content, upload to the internet, and hopefully people want to watch. And in the beginning, it was like just filming my hobbies. Early YouTube was like domino toppling and like Rubik's Cube vibes. And then like I moved into skit making because like you're inspired by people like Smosh. And then it was like I moved into like more like a filmmaking vibe once I was in my later teens. And then um, 1, 3 in the morning like night, I had a late night idea, and I was just like, I would love to make a cartoon. I don't know how to make a cartoon, but I just saw like a snake image in my head, and I was like, I got that microphone buried in my closet. Like, I don't know how to animate. I'm masterful at Final Cut Pro, the editing program. So let's see what we could like conjure up here. And I knew if I went to bed, I wouldn't
Yeah.
remember it in the morning. So I knew I like forced myself to do it that night. I really didn't want to do it. I want to go to bed, but I was like, I don't want to lose this idea. Thank God I did, because that was the video. That was my first animation that I posted called Snakes Have Legs. And that was the one that just went stupid viral. I feel like that shit went to other planets, not even just on Earth. It was everywhere. And it was like it was like after a decade of content creating, I finally had like a viral hit. And it was just so funny for that viral hit to be with my first animation. But that was like the pinpoint start of like Coolman Coffeedan, what it is now. But for sure there was a lot happening before that, like
Yeah.
kind of building up to that moment. Because if I didn't do the 10 years prior of content creation while growing up, I wouldn't know what to do with all that attention and all those, my phone just pinging with notifications. Like, you have to know how to manage that. And thankfully I did to make it, turn into something in the years afterwards.
I want to get into like how you do handle so much attention and stuff. It's so hard to kind of stay humble sometimes when you're getting so much attention, and your bank account's going up, until something can hopefully bring you back down to earth. Did you ever go through like any kind of phase where you kind of felt like your ego was blowing up a little bit? And if not, how, like, what kept you kind of grounded? And if so, how did you kind of get out of that?
I was always a big believer of, thinking you are the shit while also thinking you ain't shit, just
Yeah.
balancing that dynamic, because you have to be your biggest fan and you're essentially your worst enemy. You have to celebrate the wins and be like, dude, what you're doing right now is awesome, and validate yourself. But then you also have to be like, get better, to keep you learning, to keep you hungry. And that's kind of like for better or for worse, how I've always been. Once this happened, I was like, that's something worth feeling good about. But to say I didn't go through some like, oh shit, like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm feeling good right now. I'm out here like trying to make cool shit. And the only way to do that is to stay authentic. And it's tough to be authentic and be an egotistical asshole. So it's not even in my best interest to let that ego shit get to my head. I gotta acknowledge myself that I'm doing a good job to like, stay like alive and stay going. But it's also like, dude, like, you really think this is cool? Like you got to keep going, bro. Like I want you to look back at this point in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years and be like, that was nothing. Look what I got going on now. Because that's just how I operate. I gotta have that mentality to keep me moving forward and to keep
Yeah.
me learning new shit,
I remember meeting you. I mean, I met you actually when I was working at Cartoona, but
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
actually hung out for the first time. We're at this like event thing. And just the fact that like you're like, hey man, like you're just treating everybody the same. And
Mm.
that like right away, I'm like, cool, somebody that's big and actually humble. Like it's nice.
We're from New York. I mean, you just gotta be nice to everybody. Buy them a bagel.
Sometimes I feel like the East Coasters are a little bit more warm and welcoming. I don't know if that's me being biased, but
They are. They are. But these numbers, they're pixels on your phone that give you a hit of dopamine, I guess. But shit hits the fan. Who's gonna be like, genuinely looking out for you in this whole life thing?
in terms of like a workflow, I just feel like everyone's brains are kind of different. So my brother is a videographer and he has like this routine where he gets up at a certain time, he goes for a jog, he comes in, he makes breakfast, at this time he sits down and he does this and he does that. And I
Mhm.
don't have a brain like that. I'm a very spontaneous type of a brain, which I feel like has brought me my like success in some ways.
Yeah.
I want to know, do you can be successful with any kind of brain you have, but what kind of brain do you have? Like, do you have a more of a structured brain? Are you more spontaneous? And like, do you have specific goals for the year? Do you have specific goals for the month? And if you do, like, how do you keep track of if you're getting close to achieving those goals? Like, do you have a calendar? Like, how do you operate?
So yeah, no, I I am definitely like your brother. Like I need routine in my life. I'm unfortunately that guy where who you go on vacation with and he is up at like 8 a.m. going for a run because I just get really it's very simple. I just get very easily depressed when I'm not doing anything. If I don't have, my phone pinging me, hey, it's 10:30, you got to do this thing like that's the only way I stay productive because if it's just a blank slate and I respect people like you who know how to navigate that, I just get very overwhelmed to the point where I do nothing. And so yes, to answer your question, like to-do lists, whiteboards, notebooks, calendars, my best friend, like literally, you have the daily to do stuff, and then you have what do you want to do this year or the next 6 months? And then, you have those things lingering in your brain that you should write down somewhere where it's like, what do you want to accomplish before you're, 90 years old? Like, do you want to sell a show? Do you want to make a goddamn sculpture or something? Like, whatever you want to do, like, what is that thing? So, and that's just how I've always been. I think once I discovered that in my maybe late teens, it was such like a code cracking moment, especially once I moved out of my parents and out of college dorms and all that. It was just so vital to, I think, this whole operation that it's turned into right now. Like, no, there's no boss telling me what to do. So you have to tell yourself what to do, which is very tough.
Do you ever feel like you want to break the routine or you just love having that routine? You
So
ever get bored of it?
for sure, and that's when it ends. I kind of realized very recently, oh, it's about a year until I get kind of sick of that routine and I gotta adapt and your life changes too. So like
Right.
right now, I'm living on my own in Hollywood and I have, bigger projects going on. This is the year of building out a team and kind of delegating. So now it's a different sort of hustle. Well, yes, I'm still out here trying to make shit happen. It's still that hustle mentality, but to say it's the same hustle mentality from 2019 is just not true. Now I'm running kind of more of a bigger operation where I have a very talented animator helping me make my stuff. I have my merch people handling the merch stuff. I have so many different crowds of people that I can't even talk about two of the other examples because it has to be announced. But there's just like you're running like a little bit of a army, you know what I mean? So I'm at that point in my life now where the routine part can kind of be alleviated a little bit, because now it's more so like every day is very different. But from like that topical point of view, it's like, okay, like first half of today is a phone call, email sort of situation. You should
Gotcha.
go on a run, you know, around lunchtime. Afternoon is going to be that creative session. You're drawing on your tablet, you know, you're getting funky with music and drawing and all that. And then, you know, you it's like, all right, dinner cook. Like it's just I feel it going more towards that like adulting direction. But to answer your question, very, very, very routine dependent. And I think that's just because of like, you know, however my brain matter, you
Yeah.
know, ended up being.
I very much envy that like brain of yours. My question for you is, I guess it sounds like your routines, instead of locking yourself down to really specific shit, you're still giving yourself some kind of vague thing. So you're saying it's art time between this time and this time. Do you plan the day before, like what you're going to work on, or do you come up with it the day of, or?
It's usually the night before sort of thing. It's, you know, you're sitting at your kitchen table in your underwear with a cup of tea, about to go to bed, and you're writing, you know, here's what you're going to do tomorrow, because it's a good, I think the night before is a good vantage point. It's quiet. No, you're not really getting pinged or notified. Like there's not shit happening around you. So it's like a nice little quiet moment for you to be like, what's going on tomorrow? What should I focus on tomorrow? And you know, to your point, like I'm not perfect, and I will skip out on stuff that'll build up, you know, in my guilt level for like a few days on end or weeks on end. And I'm like, how have I not done this? And then eventually I'll get to a point, well, where I will write like on that to-do list, like if I have to whatever schedule to upload a video, it'll say schedule to upload that video, you fucking fuck. And I'll like yell at myself because you have to, you know, it's like you're literally you're like a babysitting yourself, you know what I mean? And you're just like you're the worst baby.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. Like
you're
that.
like the, you know, throwing around spaghetti and shit, you know?
Once you get to the fucking fuck point, yeah.
Yeah, it works every time once you get to that point.
Do you have a like, because a lot of the times, at least me or like some other creators, will always just get so many thoughts in our head, all these ideas constantly. And do you have like a specific way that you organize your thoughts? So like if you're working on like specifically for merch, like do you have a way where you put your thoughts and your merch and your shit like in one spot? And then if you're thinking, if you're at the coffee place and you have an idea about an animation, like where do you go, like to where do you put it down, and like your stuff for to do tomorrow, like do you have an organized structure like in terms of that, or do you not overcomplicate it?
I have been actively experimenting with exactly that. Should it be super categorized or should you not overcomplicate it? A few months ago, I bought a few different notebooks. This black notebook is for business related ideas and to-do lists for the overall business and brand of Coolman Media. This is my diary. This is my journal. And I
Nice.
have a bunch of these over the years. So
That's
that's like personal business, you know, that's a goddamn diary. This is just doodling, Coolman drawing, doodling. So this is like, I thought it'd be nice to have like a nice little notebook of doodles. And then I have the notebook in the kitchen that is Coolman video ideas. Now,
nice, dude.
uh, those notebooks are mostly blank. So I don't know if it worked, but I got it kind of recently. We'll see what happens, you know, in a few more months. Hopefully they're not as blank. The point I'm getting at is probably leaning towards the point of do not overcomplicate it, because if you have that idea, um, the goal of an idea is to just not forget that idea.
Yeah.
So I have a waterproof notepad in my shower. I recommend getting one. It suction cups on your bathroom wall. I started doing this about 2 years ago, and it's It's like stone. It's paper made out of stone, so it's not regular paper, but it's a regular pencil. Writes as it normally would, pencil on paper, and you just keep that in there because I started realizing I had a lot of problem solving ideas and just a lot of creative ideas overall in the shower.
Yeah.
And back in New York, I had my waterproof notebook and I filled that shit up. So it's just really the goal, whether you're writing on your in your notebook or in your waterproof shower pad or on a napkin in a restaurant or on an index card, a post-it, on a piece of printing paper that you stick up on your wall so you don't forget about it. The goal of an idea is just to not forget about it. So, imagine me with that snakes have legs idea at 3 a.m. Imagine I just forgot about it.
Ugh.
I'd be at an Applebee's asking what kind of hot sauce do you want or something. I don't know. And that's not my life that I see for myself.
Like
So
doodling on the napkins for people get better.
yeah, exactly. Like all that shit. And it's not that right now because I acted upon that idea. I didn't forget about that idea. So I would not overcomplicate it. If your brain works like that and you're like, all right, I got to color code this shit, then by all means, personally, as like routine oriented as I am, I don't think I need to be that organized and involved where the ideas are written down. I think it's really just that. Make sure they're written down. I think that answers the question.
Any other struggles you'd like to share, or any other positives you'd like to share about being Coolman Coffeedan, the best parts, or maybe just like stuff you're currently struggling with, stuff you used to struggle with, anything like positives, negatives?
For sure. So one of the big struggles that I got to at a certain point of this whole journey was I got very envious of all my friends who had to report into an office because I just found it so luxurious. You get out of your messy, dismal New York City apartment where the dishes are piling up, and you go to this nice, clean office, and it's like, to me, it just seemed like such a nice jolt of like energy and inspiration, and you had like people all working together, telling everybody what everybody was going to be doing, what everybody was going to be working on. There was that human energy around it. And then you cut to Danny, and he's just sitting in that dismal apartment, starving. Like, when is he going to put on some pants to go get a panini from across the street? And you're trying to trying to will some inspiration and motivation and creative ideas into your life, and to make something. And that was like a very tough, this is like 2018, 2019 in New York City. And I was still very new to the animation like chapter of my life and building up my channels and my pages. And I was like, this kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I didn't like not being, that's why I liked coffee shops so much. Coffee shops were my best friend. They got me out of the house. They got me super productive. I like being in that sort of environment.
Hmm.
And COVID had to make me okay with not being in that environment, which I think has been super productive. But for that section of my life, like, I was like, okay, so pretty much I have to be okay with kind of just being alone right now, which was a um, hell of a lesson to learn. And I feel like a lot of content creators go through similar
Yeah.
situations, because whether you're living with your significant other, or you're living with a bunch of random roommates, or you're living in a college dorm, like whatever it is, like, when you're working on your stuff, you're these people that you live with, these people that are around you, are going into their office job, or they're going to class, or they're doing whatever. They're going
Yeah.
out to live their lives. And you're going to be standing there slaving over your tablet on your computer, trying to make something cool. And it gets lonely, but
It's
you
lonely.
have to identify that and be like, this is just what I signed up for. And ideally, the end product, when your video is done, when the video is posted, the gratifying feeling that you get from that project being done, and the gratifying feeling you get after a month and you look back on the 2 videos you posted that month or 6 months or a year, and you look back on this slew of this nice portfolio of work that you uploaded to the internet and people are enjoying it and watching it.
True.
Ideally, that nice feeling you get makes all of that worth it, you know. And there's little things you could do to make sure you're obviously staying mentally healthy and physically healthy to be home and working alone and doing your thing, because that's just so important. But also, like, you want to make sure that you know why you're doing it, and you want to make sure that you're doing it because that end product feeling is so good and it's continually building towards something. And for
Yeah.
me, it was 2 years of that feeling until I started feeling like, God damn, I'm glad I'm not going into an office right now. This is where this is it. This is it right here. I'm alone. I'm doing this thing now because this end feeling feels so great.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. That, oh my God, that's for me also the hardest part is the loneliness, because we are isolated on a computer at home all
Mhm.
the time. And yeah, I'd say Spotify became my best friend, podcast,
Totally.
like, oh my God.
Podcast, hell yeah, all that. I mean, turn it on, like turn all that on, because
Yeah.
you're gonna be your head's just gonna wander and you're gonna be like, what the hell is going on? So, but
Yeah.
yeah, podcast, music, oh my God.
Dude, I cannot thank you enough for all of this gold you just gave all of us.
I hope it was good gold.
It was. So let me just wrap this up. Why should people follow you, and where can they follow you?
You should freaking follow me because
You know, it's like,
I listen, I just try to make people feel a little something. I like to think my stuff is nice and colorful and aesthetically pleasing to look at. I'm going more into like a little bit of an ASMR direction right now, having that audio be just as nice and kind to your ears as the animations are kind to your eyeballs. And if you feel like, you know, maybe you want a little short dose of wholesome vibes, a little short dose of some comedy, and you don't have more than 30 seconds to get them, I'm your guy. Come over to Coolman Coffeedan on Instagram. Go over to my YouTube page, Danny Casal. You'll get exactly that. It's so short. It's like almost like, why not? It's like I promise you, you have 10 seconds to enjoy a full skit. I do have skits that are 10 seconds long. It's crazy. It's kind of incredibly dumb if you think about it. But you should go over and also shoot me a DM on Instagram telling me if you came from this video. Yeah, you know, we'll do
yeah,
that thing, and I'll be like, "Ooh, okay, cool. We got some of the new family coming in." Was that a good pitch? I feel like that might have been a little something, a little too
it
much.
was a really good pitch. No, it wasn't too much at all. I think
Okay.
that I feel like you didn't even. I feel like you could have gone on even harder, but there's not
Yeah.
one time where I'm scrolling and I've seen your shit and I haven't reacted in some, like, even the little like like even the little fucking nostril, like,
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's all I
never
could ask for.
just blank faced your shit. It's
Thank you.
impossible to blank, like, it is impossible to not feel fucking good after watching your shit. And it could be literally 3 seconds long and you feel better. So just stop
Thank
what
you.
you're doing. Go follow him. You probably already are, but if you're not, just double check. Um,
Yeah, 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 double check.
he's
I
a
appreciate I mean, that's very nice, but and may I say, you and your content, I was actually I think I was telling another animator this super recently, but you are by far one of my favorite fellow animators on
oh,
the platform right now because your stuff is so different and it's very stand-up comedy vibe. And I regularly, you know, am just laughing at your stuff as well. So the
man.
love is mutual.
Thank you. I mean, it means a lot. Thank you, man. Coffee Dan, Danny Cassell. Thank you, sir, for your time. And everyone, I'm gonna put in like a fucking
Oh yeah. Thank you.
sound effect. And have an amazing
Thanks
day.
so much. I'm happy to do this and can't wait to see what ends up coming out.